most money I've made online in my business in a single month is six figures, and I burnt it all down and found a better, more peaceful way to profit. Look, in this whole hustle culture and all the vanity metrics that you see online, it can be very distracting. And most people get distracted by all this stuff and they think that the answer to get more is to do more. So they produce more, they make more content and post on more platforms. And a lot of them are just going to end up being burnt out. And they would actually make more money if they just did less better. And it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to break this down. So if you don't have 5 minutes to spare, you may just end up being broke, burnt out, busted, and disgusted on the content creation hamster wheel. And you'll just stay on a constant treadmill of hustle. And if you pay attention to a treadmill, you don't ever get anywhere. You just get tired. So look, I had built my audience on social media up to over 100,000. I had 120 something thousand Instagram followers. I had like 14 or 15,000 TikTok followers. The most amount of money that I've made in a single month online is a little over 200K. And to most people, they're like, oh, six figures in a month. That sounds awesome. I want to do that. But if I tell you how miserable I was behind the scenes, then you probably wouldn't want to do that or think that it looks so cool. I got burnt out because my strategy was mass volume. So I would post 3 to 5 times per day, every single day. I had an infomercial strategy to whereas in addition to the 3 to 5 posts per day, I would post an additional 5 posts overnight and then delete all those posts by 6 o'clock a.m. On top of that, I'm posting on stories all the time. On top of that, I'm going live all the time. On top of that, I started to experiment with ads. On top of that, I started to do these weekly webinars and challenges, multiple day challenges and whatnot. And it was just exhausting. I was like, man, this does not have any longevity to it. This does not have any lifelong span to it. And the traffic was only dependent on how much input I put in on a day-to-day basis. So then I was like, okay, let me just make one piece of long form content and chop that up and post it everywhere like everybody tries to do. That doesn't work because every single platform is designed differently and the viewer is in a different psychological mode when they're digesting that content. So people wonder why the stuff doesn't work for them that they're posting on every single piece of social media platform, because the TikTok brain is different than the Instagram brain, that's different than the Facebook brain, that's different than the YouTube brain, that's different than the YouTube Shorts brain. So I was like, man, how can I just do less better? And I found a better, more peaceful way to whereas I actually look forward to what I'm doing each and every single day. I make more money and I'm actually working within my purpose. So let me break this down because I really think that this will be very helpful to you along your entrepreneurial journey. So look, what I realize and what you need to realize is this: views don't equal value. So in this model that I built for myself, I actually got 10 times less the views, but quadrupled my money. I realized that less is more. So I started to figure out a way to whereas I can just do less things better. So I walked away from a high view, high effort method and built a lower view, higher profit one. So what most creators out there don't realize is that broad audiences equal low buying power. So most people think that more views equals more money. More followers equals more money. Therefore, they just try to make the content that they think is going to get the most amount of views. So they just go and see what's trending and they copy whatever's trending, and then they stay on that content creation hamster wheel, never get anywhere, and wonder why they're never getting any sales, and eventually just end up getting burnt out, say that this stuff doesn't work, and quits. But that's what equals the burnout, is mass appeal. So what you need to realize is that you don't need more views, you need better viewers. And if you have a smaller audience of better viewers, then you'll realize that you don't have to do the mass appeal stuff and do a whole bunch of goofy looking stuff on the internet and tire yourself out. So this is a fundamental shift from a creator brain to a business brand, or what I like to call a contentpreneur. You don't want to think like a content creator. You want to think like a contentpreneur, and that's somebody that uses content to drive traffic to their business. The content is not the business. The business is the business. And the content is simply just a distribution system to get our business and our offers in front of people. You think like that, you realize that you don't need to get all the views. You just need to get the right views. So it's always going to be audience quality over audience size. So most creators out here, they ignore things like age demographic. Depending on what your offer is, if your audience is a whole bunch of teenagers or 18-year-olds, then how are you going to monetize that when typically these people don't have any money? They ignore things like low purchasing power countries. So on social media, a lot of these pages and YouTube channels, they'll have a big subscriber base, but their subscriber base majority is from a country that typically doesn't buy stuff. So I'll give you an example. And the first time I realized this was this. I started to use a marketing method where I was reaching out to shout out pages on social media. And these shout out pages, they had a fee in order to promote you on their page. And I was like, okay, let me see your demographics of your followership, because I don't know if your audience is the right audience for me that I should even be paying you to promote myself. Well, I found out quickly that a lot of these pages, a big majority of their followership were from countries like India. There's nothing wrong with the people in India, but typically that's not a high buying country. So a lot of these YouTube channels, social media channels that just make entertaining content and have a lot of views, if you look in their analytics, their views are going to be from, a lot of the times, their views are going to be from countries that have low buying power, low buying intent. And some of these people also, they'll buy followers, they'll buy subscribers, and they're either going to be bots, or you'll see a huge quantity of the followership be from countries like India or something like that. And a lot of people also ignore stuff where they make viral content, but for the wrong audience. So I'll use myself as an example. When I was working the content creation hamster wheel and building up my social media audience on Instagram and whatnot, I remember I had a few viral posts. And I got that quick dopamine hit, because it does feel good to be like, oh, look at all these views coming in. Look at all these followers coming in. Oh, everybody loves my stuff. They love me. But who are those people? Because all views and all followers are not created equally. I remember one post that I did, it went semi-viral. Rappers started to repost it. I remember one rapper specifically, Meek Mill, reposted my post. And I started to see this influx of people coming. I was like, what's happening? Then one of my homeboys hit me up. He's like, oh, Meek Mill posted you, reposted your stuff. I was like, why did Meek Mill repost my stuff? And all these people landing on my page are not people that I want on my page, because I make content for entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs who want to increase their income, impact, and influence online with digital products and communities. None of these people were that. Another post that I posted, somehow caught now look, I love my people, but there's no reason why I should be popping up on the algorithms that a Dr. Umar, if you're familiar with, is on, right? The Dr. Umar algorithm. And I had all these like activists and political speakers and injustice fighters and whatnot reposting my content. I'm like, none of these people are entrepreneurs. All these people deem, hey, love the work that you do, brother. This ain't the work that I do, brother. I make business content. But people are just making stuff just for the sake of making stuff. For me, during that window of my entrepreneurial journey, I was making a podcast just because I was trying to post everywhere. So I was like, okay, I'll just make a podcast and then chop that up. And one bite from my podcast clip took, and it was getting posted everywhere. I'm like, man, it was bringing in the wrong audience. But a content creator would be like, oh, look at all this new audience, look at all these new views, look at all these new followers. But if they're not the people who are qualified to buy your stuff, then it doesn't matter. It's simply just a vanity metric. So I moved from broad commentary to targeted education, and my revenue exploded. So stop asking, how do I get more views? And start asking, who are these views coming from? And when you start to ask that, then you can reverse engineer and you can actually make the content for the right people and place it in the best environment to whereas those people are already looking for what it is that you have to offer. You don't have to go out and find people. The people actually find you. So the best product for this, or the best platform for this, is YouTube. All I make is YouTube content. I have not made a single piece of content outside of long form YouTube since 2023. Why? I make educational content. Where do people go for anything that they want to learn about? They all come to YouTube. Even the people that want to do short form content, they come to YouTube to learn about how to do the short form content. People don't go to Instagram to learn how to grow on Instagram. They come to YouTube for that. People don't go to TikTok to learn how to grow on TikTok. They come to YouTube for that. People don't go to Instagram to learn how to grow a faceless Instagram theme page. They come to YouTube for that. No matter what the niche, no matter what it is that you do, or no matter what it is that you are building and selling, everybody comes to YouTube for that. Even think about this video you're watching right now. I didn't come out and find you. You found me. YouTube placed me in front of you because you're already watching similar style content. So another thing that most creators need to realize is this. Everybody out here, especially in the make money online space, they're all talking about building funnels or some type of systems or marketing strategies that no matter how they shape it or no matter how they word it, at the end of the day, it's typically just a funnel. But the product is always going to be more important than the funnel, because if whatever your product is sucks and you just funnel people to the sucky product, then you're just showing more people something that sucks and it's not going to end up well for you. So everyone's just teaching funnels and marketing strategies, but nobody's teaching anybody how to actually educate. So if your product is incredible, marketing becomes storytelling of results. It's easy to market your product if you have a good product and you're actually helping people and you're actually adding value to people and you're actually getting results for people. All that you have to do in your content is just tell a story about how you helped somebody or about how you helped yourself. It's very simple. So I focused on actually making my product better, which is my community is crowded at the top. I focused on reducing overwhelm for those people that join my community. I focused on structuring my content properly, and I focused on getting real wins. So instead of scaling ads, instead of hiring closers for some high ticket product, instead of pushing harder, my analogy is simply this: funnels amplify. They don't fix weak products. So if you focus on the product and if you focus on getting results for somebody, any system, any marketing strategy that you do, it's simply just going to amplify your results. And you'll be able to do less content, but you have a better product and you will actually be doing less and making more because you're focusing on doing less better. It's beautiful and peaceful once you figure this out. And the foundation of all of this, typically it comes down to writing over talking. So most creators, they think in order to be successful on a platform like YouTube that they have to talk better. And I'm not saying that you don't have to talk better, because you are going to be making content to whereas you're talking. But what is the foundation of becoming a better talker? It's a better writer. And most of your favorite creators, especially in the educational space, they're good writers. And most creators, they ramble, they over-explain, and they don't structure thought. And they're always wondering about what is the best script that they can copy from some other creator. But a script is simply just 3 parts. So a script is simply just a hook, a list, and a call to action. That's it. Even in entertaining content, if you really think about it, all that they're doing is a hook to grab the viewer's attention in the beginning or to promise on the thumbnail and the title, then a list of things that they're going to do in the video, and then some type of call to action. For content creators, it's going to be some type of call to action to some sponsor that's paying them to talk about their product. For contentpreneurs, it's going to be some type of call to action for some freebie that they're giving away to build their email list so they can market to people on the back end, or directly to some offer, whether it be a digital product, book a call, or a community. But a script is simply just a hook, list, and a call to action. But if you work on your writing skills on a consistent basis, you are going to become a better speaker because you're going to be able to structure your thoughts better. So YouTube isn't about talking, it's about structured thinking. So if you can't structure your thoughts, no thumbnail will save you. I know a lot of creators, include myself, back when I used to have a podcast, before I actually put my strategy together and created a YouTube system for myself. And system, SYSTEM, stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. Create a system for yourself so the system works for you every single day. You get your time back and actually make more while working less. But before I strategized and created a YouTube system for myself and implemented it on January 30th, 2024, I had thought that the thumbnails was the problem, because before that, I just had a podcast that nobody was listening to. So I paid some good editor and he had great skills, and my thumbnails, they looked excellent. But my thoughts weren't structured well in the podcast, so it didn't matter how good the thumbnail is. Very similar to a digital product, any offer, or a community. If the product isn't good, it doesn't matter what type of marketing strategy that you use, all right? So the foundation of a lot of this just simply comes down to structured thought. And the person that is able to structure their thoughts in a better, more clear, concise manner will outperform the person who has a great thumbnail and great packaging, whose video sucks because they're just rambling and their thoughts are scattered everywhere. So, and these people also typically end up getting burned out because they're just putting scattered thoughts up consistently all over the place and not seeing any results. But my burnout came from misalignment, which typically most creators' burnouts comes from this as well, because most creators are optimized for production value. They're optimized for things like performance, and most of the performance that they're optimizing for are simply just vanity metrics. Views, followers, likes, comments, all things that do not move the measure on the revenue side of things. They look good, you get a little dopamine release from it, but if it's not increasing your bank account, it's just a hobby. It's not a business. And typically a lot of these vanity metrics, I call them ego metrics, because they typically do just come down to the ego. It feeds your ego if you get a lot of views. It feeds your ego if you get a lot of followers. But your ego takes a hit if you get a little amount of views. People come to me all the time and they're like, hey man, what are people gonna think about my content? It doesn't look like it has any views. I'm like, well, if you're getting views from the right people and they're coming to you for a solution to their problem, they could care less about the view count or the subscriber count. They care about if you can help them. That's it. That's all that matters. And a lot of these content creators with huge audiences, they're not making any money. One of the stories that I love to tell, and I don't love that this happened to this young lady, but it's a great example. A few years ago, there was this creator. She had like over 2 million followers on Instagram. She came up with some product or partnered with some company to sell some shirts or something like that. She couldn't sell 20 units. 2 million followers. She was focused on vanity metrics, those ego metrics, and she didn't have the right audience at all. So her audience were probably some men that thought that she was attractive or something like that. that wouldn't buy anything from her. She had the wrong offer. Well, they might will buy something from her, but she might will have to go to one of those bow chicken wow wow websites for that, which she probably didn't want to do. But I'm like, that is a primary case of people focus on the wrong metrics. People focus on the wrong KPIs, and KPIs stand for key performance indicators. So, but for me, I was optimized like most creators, looking for this stuff. But when I fired my job April 1st, 2016, to go all in on myself, I was optimizing for enjoyment, simplicity, and business leverage. I lost sight of that in all the hustle bro culture and all the content creation, hamster wheel, burnout land. But my burnout, it wasn't from the actual work. It was from building something that was misaligned with what I actually wanted. Think about it. It's hard to get burnt out if you're doing something that you actually love to do. I love going to the movies. Actually, right after I get done recording this video, I'm going to the movies to watch Scream 7. I'm a big fan of the Scream franchise, probably the best horror film franchise of all time. I don't get burnt out from going to the movies. I do my best to go to the movies as many times per month as I can, usually a few times. Every single week, I just look and see what's coming out each month. I don't get burnt out from doing that. Why? Because I enjoy doing it. People, including my former self, they get burnt out from work. It's because they hate doing it. But I found a way to whereas I enjoy doing what I'm doing each and every single day, each and every single week. I don't get burnt out from it. I enjoy and I like to do it. So if you figure out a way to optimize for enjoyment, simplicity, and actual leverage, you can build true leverage on a platform like YouTube. So if you didn't realize this, look, there's 4 levels of leverage that people have been accumulating wealth with since the beginning of time. So their labor, its capital, its code, and here at the top is media. Everybody does not have access to all of this stuff. Everybody doesn't have access to use human capital. Everybody else doesn't have access to capital to either leverage human capital or OPM, other people's money. Everybody doesn't have access to code yet. Probably in some years ahead, everybody might have access to code with the advancements of AI, but that's not here yet. But whether that's here now, tomorrow, whenever, everybody does have access to media. So all that you have to do is attach your product to a highly formed leverage of media like YouTube, which is the only evergreen platform because it's designed for long-term viewership, not here today, gone today viewership like short-form social media. Everybody can do that. And this is the way that the new billionaires are being created today. So even if you just think about through human time, back here, the initial wealth on planet Earth, no matter when through history, how was it accumulated? Through human labor, through slavery and stuff like that. Then you go to another era to where it's the Rockefellers and all that type of stuff started to get money. How did they get money? Through the banking system when they all went off the coast to Jekyll Island. I ain't gonna give you a history lesson, but basically went in a room and designed what the country and the world is to this day and designed the banking system and fractional reserve banking and all that type of stuff. How did they do it? Through OPM, through other people's capital. And even taking it up to Warren Buffett and all that type of stuff. But then if you think of the new rich after that, this is when the Jeff Bezos start popping up. This is when the Mark Zuckerberg start popping up. The Elon Musk, how did they do it? Through code. Well, if you think about the new rich or the new billionaires of this age, how are they doing it? They're leveraging their media. The Kardashians, Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, even somebody who started off here, Elon Musk. How's he building all this stuff? Elon Musk is basically the face of everything that he's doing, leveraging the media to the point to where he bought a media company, not nicknamed it, changed it from Twitter to X, right? Everybody has access to this right here, but you don't need to have the biggest amount of following for that. You don't have to have the biggest subscriber base. You just need to have a micro niche YouTube channel that only focuses on creating solutions for a specific target demographic problems and only focusing on that. That's where the money's made. So it's like a psychological trap that most people are stuck in, of thinking that they need to get to the mass market, and thinking mass market is the psychological trap. Because big creators are people that want to be big creators. They're often obsessed, they're often anxious, and they're unstable when their views dip. I don't really care if my views go down. Every single view is the right view. And at the time of me recording this video, I don't even have the biggest YouTube channel yet, like 50,000 subscribers. That's not that many subscribers in the big sense of YouTube. I still have a very small micro niche YouTube channel. I have ebbs and flows just like everybody does. I don't trip off of the ebbs. I actually have a strategy to not make viral content or attempt to make stuff that is going viral. I only want to get the right views. I only want you to watch my stuff, not them. So most of these people are unstable when their views dip because they optimize for algorithm validation instead of actual business validation. And that's that content creation hamster wheel that I'm talking about. So if your identity is tied to views, then your mental state is tied to something that you can't control. So we always want to have control over our inputs instead of the outputs. And most people are obsessing over the outputs instead of only focusing on the inputs that they can control. I only focus on the controllables. Control the things that you can control. And when you're focused on the right KPIs, which stands for key performance indicators of these inputs, if you're focused on not how many views a video gets, but how many views a sales or opt-in page gets. If you're focused on, instead of how many comments did something get, what is the conversion percentage from those people that landed on the sales page? If you're focused on what is the view to sale ratio and what is my cost per view, then you get numbers just like all them that you see on the screen right now. And if you're ready to make more working less in a more peaceful, purposeful way with YouTube as the engine to everything, go ahead and click the link down in the description and join this Credit at the Top community. And I'll see you on my coaching call this Wednesday. But I'm telling you, more is typically less, and less is typically more. And if you build the right system for yourself and only focus on the proper inputs, then you can do less things better and you can make more with less effort. So go ahead and check out this video right here about a complete system that you can build for yourself around YouTube, saving yourself time, energy, and money so you can get your peace back and make more money at the same time. It's a swell time. It's Credit at the Top.